everyone. Thank you for joining me. I just realized as I came on, I had my glasses still on, so I'm taking them off for you. Welcome to Training Tuesday. It is lovely to see you here tonight. It is a very cold and rainy evening in New England. So, welcome to cold and rainy New England. It's fall and like we're leapfrogging into winter, I think. I think that's what's happening here. So, I'm happy to have you join me tonight. I'm also going to warn you that not only is it a cold and rainy evening, but for some reason, right before I came live, like all the animals in my house decided things needed to happen, and there was yowling and scuffling and stuff going on. So I'm just going to warn you that in case there's animal action happening around me while we're chatting tonight, I don't know what it is, but they were all getting very rowdy just before I turned the cameras on. So we may have some of my animals joining us tonight. We may not. We shall see. In the meantime, we are here to talk about disorderly conduct. So, one of the things that brought this to mind is I've seen these quotes floating around just a lot recently on, there's one that's erroneously apparently attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt of well behaved women seldom make history. And then I shared in one of the promotions for tonight the quote about becoming a difficult woman, how easy it is to become a difficult woman, right, from Jane Goodall. And those quotes made me think about the fact that, we float those kinds of quotes out there because we find them inspiring, right? We think, yes, that's us. We are women, we are fighters, we are disruptors, we're change makers, we're changing things. And I looked at those and I thought, yeah, yeah, that's who I want to be. But am I really? Am I a change maker? Am I a disruptor? What does that mean? All right, so here's the thing I was thinking about. You don't have to want to change the world in order to need a little disruption in your life. You don't have to want to be some international diva in order to need to step out of your comfort zone, right? Of process, of expectations, of things like that. But what you do need is to have a dream, a goal, something that you want to come true. Says what we're going to talk about tonight is what happens when we start chasing the goal. When we actually move into action to chase the goal, we get into a place where we could use a little disruption. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So before I dive into that, thank you and welcome. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Accelerating Leadership for Professional Women. You are here in our private Facebook group. And as always, I ask you to say hello in the chat. I see Christine's here. I see Linda is here. Rachel is here. Fantastic. Joyce is here. Great. Ladies, welcome. Thank you for joining. As you guys join, for those of you who have joined Training Tuesday before, you know what to do. I want you to ask questions. I want you to talk to me, talk to each other in the chat. Yeah, maybe my animals want to share the disorderly conduct. Yeah, that may be what's going on. Like they knew my theme tonight. They've settled for the moment, but literally right before I turned on my camera, there was all kinds of action going on. So I like this to be as interactive as possible just because it's more fun for us. I do try to keep up with your comments, as you guys know who've joined me before. Hey, Sue, welcome. I don't always get to see them, so sometimes Facebook decides I don't need to see them. I don't know what's going on with that. If you haven't joined me before, welcome. My name is Natalie Hahn. I am CEO of Dirty Girls Consulting, and we are here every Tuesday night to talk about a different topic as it relates to leadership and confidence building and career pathing and just kind of living our lives the way we want to live them. So we cover a range of topics. I am always open to your ideas for topics that you would like to see covered. And tonight we're talking about disorderly conduct. So I'm going to dive in. It's nice to see you ladies here. Keep sharing in the chat. And like I said, ask questions, make comments, share your stories. I always love hearing from you. So I had started talking about disorderly conduct with a story that I shared back from when I was 21. And you may have read it in the ad, but in case you didn't see it, I'm just going to recap it really quickly here for you, which was part of me thinking about this topic. I've been thinking about this particular topic for literally 3 decades now because it happened when I was 21, which is I had the opportunity to write an article for the city paper. I was a 21-year-old undergrad student. I was a reporter for the campus paper, but I had come across a new technology that was being put in a test market, and I just happened to come across it in my community. And it got me buzzing. Like, I was so excited. This technology was amazing, and I could see all these different ways it was going to change the way that we actually did our grocery shopping. And I won't get into the technology because that part doesn't actually matter for the story. The main thing was that I was incredibly excited about this topic, and I realized this was not a topic for my school paper. This was a community topic. This was like something bigger. Um, so I had started scribbling notes when that realization came to me of, I'm not going to write this for my school paper. There's a bigger story here. And so I got on the phone to the city newspaper. Now, this was a fairly decent sized community. It was outside of San Francisco, Northern California, but so it wasn't as huge as San Francisco, but it was a big sized community outside of San Francisco. Um, Called the local paper, called the city desk editor, called the lifestyle, I think it was the lifestyle editor, something along those lines. It was a long time ago. And got through. Now, keep in mind that 30 years ago, we didn't have caller ID and all these things in place that would prevent a 21-year-old from reaching a city desk editor. Um, and whether he had an admin or a copy editor who was supposed to be manning his phones, I don't know. They weren't doing their job. But I got through, and I was able to convince him that this article was going to be incredibly interesting to his reading public and that I was the right person to write it. And lo and behold, he said okay. And he gave me a deadline. And what happened was I was incredibly excited about writing the article. I started writing it. And as I started writing it, I started doing more research. And the more research I did, the more things that I found. If I got to include this and I want to include that. Oh, and I got to research this a little bit more, and then this a little bit more. And then I've got to make sure that I've got it formatted perfectly. And then I have to make sure that my editor at my school paper reads it because I could use another set of eyes on it. And then I have to make sure that everybody that I quoted like gets the right attributes and that everybody's okay with it. And I kept having one more thing and one more thing and one more thing I needed to do in order to actually write the article and turn it in. And so I kept writing it and kept writing it, and I had to edit it back because I had too much stuff. And at the end of it, basically, I asked for an extension, I think 3 times. The third time I asked, he didn't even respond to my call. Like, he didn't return my call or nothing. I think he just gave up at that point. I did finally send that article in. It was 2 weeks late. 2 weeks late, I sent in an article to the city paper. And maybe it was a week. Yeah, it was something like 2 weeks late. A couple weeks after that, I heard nothing. Of course, I see nothing in print, which is devastating when you're 21. I do get a letter back from him, little note. And actually what it was it was a form letter from the newspaper basically saying thank you for your submission and your interest, but we don't have time to print everybody's junk. That's basically what it said. He scribbled a note at the bottom that said, and I wrote it in the thing, so I'm quoting it from memory now, but he basically said, it's a pity that your journalism class didn't teach you about deadlines. This is a great article, but it's no longer relevant. Which just meant I missed my window. I was so busy putting things on my to-do list to get it done, to make it perfect, to make sure I didn't fail, that I failed. So this pattern of creating these extra tasks is something that I see in a lot of the women that I work with. And so I had a client not too long ago, actually, who wanted to start her own business. And so we would sit down and we would talk about her business and where she wanted to grow and who she wanted to serve and what this was going to look like. And we'd say, okay, it's time to get started. And she came back with a plan of, well, before I get started, I need to create my website and I need a logo to go with my website and my business. And I really need formal programs that I'm going to offer and content for my website. And then I should probably launch an ad campaign because I'm going to, I know some people I can talk to, but I've got to get new people on board. I'm going to need more funding. So I've got to figure that piece out. And really, when you think about that, it all makes sense, right? I mean, she had a plan and an order to things that had to get done. And it was very logical and it was very rational. But sometimes these logical, rational things that we put in place are also completely unnecessary. It's what we call the this before that syndrome. Okay, I made up syndrome, but it's this before that. And I do think it's a syndrome because I think it's a pattern we fall into and we do it way more than we realize. I think some of it's subconscious, some of it. So I want to talk about that subconscious gremlin that's happening there, right? So a lot of times think about a smaller thing than just launching your own business, right? I got to write a blog. Well, before I write the blog, I have to research the topic. And in researching the topic, I better go find some resources that can point me in the direction of good research, because I don't want faulty research, none of that fake news stuff going on, right? And before I do that, I should make sure that people actually want to read the topic, right? They're interested in this. I don't want to waste time on something that people find boring. And before I do that, I should really wash the dishes, scroll Facebook, go walk my dog. I can always think of a million things that I can be doing. When I sit down to work, sometimes it's like the first 5 minutes are the things that I should have done earlier, like get my coffee, clean off my desk, whatever it is. We create a process. We create an order by which we think things have to happen in order for us to be successful, in order for us to be on the path to success. So, hey, Regina, I'm glad you could join us. And Sue, yeah, guilty. Sue, thank you for being honest about that. We're probably all guilty of it to some extent or another. Can you hear my cat? I told you one of them would be joining us. He's going to be disorderly tonight. So the question that I ask is, when you think about it, when we can step back from that a little bit, is there really just one order to how we do things? Is there really just one process to follow to hit the goal? We usually claim that we put these barriers in front of us because we're procrastinating for something that we don't want to do. So then when it comes to, but I want to do this big goal, I want to get that promotion, I want to write that blog. So why am I not doing the things? Or why did I make the list, but I'm not making progress? And we second guess ourselves. Well, it must be because I don't want it as badly as I think. It must be because, it's not right for me. Something isn't feeling right. We rationalize that too. When actually we put obstacles in our own path for the things that we really, really want. The things we really want are the things that we start going, oh, not that, oh, not that, right? Because it's scary. It's scary. If I do that thing that really means a lot to me, there might be judgment. People might judge me. There might be exposure. I could be vulnerable. People might see me. They might learn things about me. If we let judgment and vulnerability stop us from doing, I am going to kill this cat. Holy cow. If we let judgment, see, this is my own distraction. If we let judgment and vulnerability stop us, that's what judgment and vulnerability stop us from doing the things that we want to do. If we let it stop us, we're never going to do it. Those are two of the biggest gremlin voices, right, that hold us up from doing something. And if we make that choice, that the risk of vulnerability, the risk of being judged is not worth it, then we never become the person we want to be. We never become that leader. We never become that, pick a role, mother, sister, lover, whatever it is. We never step into that fully because we've already decided that there's too high a cost for playing it the way that we want to, the way that we envision, which means we're never in alignment with ourselves. So instead, we pick smaller and easier goals and roles. We pick the things we know we can do and be successful at. And then we're forever dissatisfied because we know we can do more. We are forever dissatisfied because we think, if only. And then we put that whole list of obstacles we created in front of us. And if we're living in that space, we make it their fault. It's that list of obstacles. That's why I couldn't do it. And if we're honest, we realize I was just too scared and it was my fault. But either way, we're sitting in a place where we are not doing and we are not achieving the things we want to achieve. So this is why I recommend a little disorderly conduct to get to our goals faster, because we're breaking a pattern that we've created around order. And it seems so logical and it seems so rational, right? Because order is a good thing. Having a plan is a good thing. And I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is sometimes it gets in our way. So this is where disorderly conduct comes in. I want you all to think about a goal that you have. Maybe your goal is getting at that promotion, getting that raise. That's something that this is a group that's focused a lot on careers and career pathing. That's something we talk a lot here about. So if you're thinking about that next step in your career, you're thinking about a raise, maybe that's a goal. Maybe it's launching your own business, or maybe it's just doing something new or different in business. It also could be your goal is to clean out your basement. Your goal is to run a marathon. Your goal is to lose weight or to write a novel, right? But I want you to think about that goal that you have. And now I want you to think about the goal. I'm going to assume you all have it. You're all thinking about it. You all have the goal. Now I want you to think about what is the process that you've put in place for you to achieve that goal. What are the steps you've created for yourself to make that goal possible? Your perfectly rational, logical plan that you need to follow to achieve the goal. I just want you to think about that. Think about the steps. So if I'm aiming for that promotion, I might be thinking, I have to make sure that I get involved in this project or this committee so that I get visibility. And then I'm going to create a presentation of all my achievements since I've been in this role so they can see I'm ready for the next role. And then I'm going to go get a coworker or another executive to kind of sponsor me, right? Have their support for getting into the role. And then I'm going to wait for just the perfect time to talk to my boss, right? And at the end of the day, you kind of look at all those things and go, okay, but what do I really need to get that promotion? What is the one thing that really has to happen in order to get this promotion? You have to talk to your boss. And that whole list of things, the only thing that is actually going to move you forward is the conversation with your boss, right? So forget the projects, forget the PowerPoint presentation, forget getting the allies on board. All of those are perfectly good, rational things to do, right? To do as you're creating your plan for making sure you have a viable shot at the promotion. So I'm not saying don't do them, but I'm saying if these are the things that are on your list and they're not getting done, then they are the obstacles you have put in place so that you just don't go have the conversation. And here's the deal. If you had the conversation, your boss could tell you, well, before the promotion, I need you to go work on that project, or I'd like to see you present to me why you deserve this promotion. I would like to talk to peers of mine or peers of yours to see how they feel about it. You would get the feedback to know what the next step is. But the only point that matters was having the conversation. All that other stuff is the noise. It's the distraction. It's the gremlin stuff, right? It's that gremlin voice in your head. So option number one, when you are dealing with a process that is actually slowing you down towards your greater goal, is to drill down to the action that actually makes a difference. I swear to you, the cat is fine. He's been fed. He's warm. He's inside. He's fine. Linda, how did you? I didn't know you were doing it today, but I'm not surprised, not that you, but that any number of us do this, right? Any number of, for projects or for things that are large and small. Like I said, some days when I just come to sit down to work, I know what I have to do. It's not overly stressful or overwhelming sometimes, and I will still just putz around. I will just make up things to do. And finally, like 10 minutes go by, and I'm like, seriously, just sit down and do your work, right? So, Christine, I'm stuck. I don't know how to find people to help me. Ah, well, okay, so this is a different question or a slightly different issue, right? The question, so we would get into we should just talk, Christine. We should get into the conversation about what do you need people to help you with, right? What is it exactly you're looking for help for? Because then we get down to the root of, do you really need people to help you, or is there an action you can take and it's just scary as hell? Or if you really do need people to help you, what's stopping you from finding those people? Let's find the path to that. Jackie, perfect time to talk about this as we enter Q4. Right. For a lot of you, especially you in corporate world, we're entering the last quarter of the year. We're in the last quarter of the year, right? So it is crunch time. People are very narrowly focused on getting to that end goal of hitting their numbers or their objectives for the year, which means hyper focus on priorities. And prioritizing is a really important way to figure out what are you going to do next. So dealing with this is you create a budget and ask for more teammates. Yes, exactly. Okay, so the focus, the priority is getting to um, the one action, right? So the earlier example I gave, like for the client who wanted to start a business and she had all that whole list of things. She needed the website, she needed logos, she needed more service offerings and all of this. And I said to her, why not just do the business? Just do the work. Because do you really need a website to get that one client, that first client? Do you really need a website to get your first 10 clients? She didn't. She didn't need it, right? Why not just start being that person? Why not just start doing that thing? And I want to share with you quickly the story. A woman who you guys, some of you might actually know. She's a public personality. Her name is Janine Driver, and you're welcome to look her up. And I had the great fortune to work with her on several occasions. Janine Driver, years ago, so if we go back maybe 15 to 20 years ago, worked for the BATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and she was an interrogator. She interrogated the bad guys and got burnt out, didn't want to work for the government anymore, quit her job, and spent a little bit of time in this limbo of I'm a woman, I'm single, I don't have a job, I'd like to lose weight, I'd like to get married one day, like my whole life is just, not where I want it to be. And she started thinking about what she wanted to do. And she thought, you know what, though? What I really loved about my job was the fact that I got really good at reading people. Janine Driver, if you look her up, is a body language expert. She has a company called the Body Language Institute, BLI, and her before she established BLI, she became known as the Lion Tamer. So not lion the animal, but lion like your lying eyes. That's a song by the Eagles or something, right? so so LYIN little apostrophe thing, the Lion Tamer. That's Janine Driver, and she's fantastic. If you watch her when she talks about body language, she's been on I think NBC's Today Show a zillion times. So she's been on major TV networks with her work. She's written books, and so she's a well-known personality. So look her up because she's entertaining and she's really good at her job. But she started in her sister's apartment in Washington, D.C. 15, 20 years ago. About that. That's about when I met her, 15, 20 years ago. And literally decided that that was the career she wanted. She wanted to be a consultant for body language. She didn't want to work for the government, but she would consult with them. She didn't want to work for these corporations, but she could consult with them on using body language in sales situations, using body language to read boardrooms, right? In business situations, as well as in these criminal investigations and things. She literally picked up the phone and just started cold calling companies and people that she knew, and said, my name's Janine Driver and I'm a body language expert. She had no degree in body language expertise, no certification. None of that exists. She created the Body Language Institute to give certifications for reading body language. Didn't exist 15 and 20 years ago. Didn't exist. She just decided that's who she was going to be, and she picked up the phone, and that's how she started living her life. And 15, 20 years later, here we are. And like I said, she's been on major news networks multiple times. She's a regular resource for many government agencies when it comes to the interrogation piece of it and reading body language. She has a whole program on training corporations and their sales teams around reading body language. I mean, it's amazing what she's done in what's really not that long a period of time when you think about 15 years. And it started with her walking the talk, saying, I'm going to be a body language expert. So she just started living her life. So sometimes all I'm saying is that option number one of just leapfrog ahead to the action, bypassing the thoughtful process and getting to the thing. It does require pushing past your fear. But when you just get to the thing, the inspiration you get and the energy and the motivation you get from suddenly just living and being in alignment with who you are and who you want to be is incredible. Now, there's an option too. If your goal truly requires work and process, right, to make it happen, then it's eat the elephant time. Option two is eat the elephant. So, for example, if your goal was to run a marathon, right? Um, there's a training plan. There are a zillion training plans out there for marathons. So maybe it's intimidating, but the whole point of the training plans is to break it down. And maybe the training plan itself is overwhelming and you need to break it down even more into bites that are tangible and practical for you. Just because you find somebody else's training plan to be not a good fit for you or overwhelming or just too much to handle doesn't mean it's a good training plan just because it comes from some expert. We have to do this in the ways that work for us. My own coach challenged me about 4 weeks ago now, almost 4 weeks ago now, I think, um, on a project I'd been talking about and hadn't done. And truthfully, I had admitted to her, and that was my fault. I had admitted to her this project had been in my head for over 20 years. So she challenged me. She said, 15 minutes a day. Tell me that you can find 15 minutes a day to work on that project. I was like, what am I going to get done in 15 minutes? She's like, well, why don't you find out? Why don't you just do it and find out? And the truth is, can I spare 15 minutes a day? Yeah, I can. I can make 15 minutes a day. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't every day. Sometimes due to my very poor planning skills and oversleeping, and I can think of any number of things, I do miss a day, but I don't miss many. Because in my head, I remember I promised myself 15 minutes a day, and I am not a person who wants to lie to herself or to anybody else. 15 minutes a day against a project that I have been thinking about for decades. In 4 weeks, I have gotten leap years ahead of where I've ever been in the past when I've attempted to tackle this. Because in the past, I'd look at the project and I'd immediately get overwhelmed and think, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. 15 minutes a day forced me in just 15 minutes. What can I do in 15 minutes? Well, that's a really good question. What can you do? And it allowed me to actually start really breaking things down. So, option one, leapfrog. Take the leap, get to the action that makes a difference. Option two, eat the elephant. Break it down in what's tangible for you. Don't worry about anybody else's judgment of whether your bites are too small or too big. If it works for you, it works for you. That's what you do. Now, regardless of whether with your goal that you've had in mind, because I asked you to think of your goal and I asked you to think of the process, whether you take option one or two, whichever one works for you. Point number three, it's not an option three, it's point three because it's not an option. Point three is recognize the fear, because it is the fear that is having us put these obstacles in our own paths. It's not about being scared, but it is about awareness. The more aware we are of how we are creating our own obstacles, the easier it becomes to start navigating around those obstacles, and then the faster we get at actually breaking it down. So when you think about that project or that goal that you have in mind and the process that you've created of how you're going to get there, right? The order you've created of the things that have to happen in order to get you there. What I want you to think about is, why are those steps there? Why did you put those steps in place? I know they're rational, I know they're logical, I know they're helpful, but are they necessary? And when you look at the why, I want you to look at what's behind it. Is it a fear of failing? For me in the project I'm working on, it's definitely a fear of failing. Is it a fear of what your family will think, right? Judgment. A fear of what your coworkers might feel about it. Could be a fear that it won't turn out the way that you want it to or expect it to. Those are all possibilities. That was the other fear holding me back, is if I work on this project and the outcome isn't exactly how I envision it, then I failed, right? Then I wasn't able to create what I want to create. I wasn't able to do what I want to do, and then I'm a failure, right? So that's a story that we have to change in our head, because the truth is the thing not turning out the way we want, our family or our friends judging us for what we've done, our co-actors or co-workers reacting poorly, all possibilities. But our success is also a possibility. Achieving our goals and our dreams is also a possibility. And it is not any more or any less a possibility than those other outcomes. And the other possibility is that whole new wonderful opportunities open up to you that you haven't even conceived of yet. And you can't. You can't conceive of them because they don't exist, because you haven't done the thing. So when we're sitting there looking at the thing we want to do and all the other things we put in front of the thing we want to do, and all those other things are overwhelming or they're too much so we never get to the thing we want to do, I want you to think about why. What's the fear that the little gremlin voice is talking to us about that's having us continuing to put those things in front of us so that either we don't leapfrog or we're afraid to break down and bite the elephant? All right. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, because wouldn't it be cool if what was actually in front of you were whole new opportunities that you can't even dream of right now? Because you're just creating and creating and creating. And you're creating because you were willing to step out of this pattern that you've set for yourself, out of this safe process that you've set for yourself, and created a little disorder and said, forget the pattern. I'm going to leapfrog ahead. Or forget the pattern. I'm just going to grind this down a step at a time, and I'm going to see the progress towards my goal. All right. If you are ready to take that leap, to bypass your obstacles, or to figure out how you're going to break down, right, your goal and make the baby steps, make the elephant bites, eating the elephant, the little bites of eating the elephant, then let's talk. So I would like to invite you to drop the word dig in the chat if you would like to have the Dirty Girl mini dig. It's a free 15-minute conversation just between you and me and just focused on your goal. We spend that time. Like I said, what can you do in 15 minutes? I found out you can do a lot in 15 minutes. 15 minutes between you and me talking about what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve, what's the next step you need to get there. We're all about driving action. We're all about moving forward. So that's what we're going to focus on in this conversation. It's not a sales call. I'm not selling you any coaching or anything like that. I would need more time than 15 minutes for that anyway. This is literally for you and I to spend time together to ensure that you have some clarity around where you're going and one action, something you're going to do to get there. So I invite you to drop the word dig in the chat. Let's get that conversation started for you. And I hope that you enjoyed Training Tuesday tonight. So just remember, you can leapfrog, you can eat the elephant, and in either case, when you're thinking about your goal, I want you to think about the fear. We're not focusing on it to get ourselves all scared and riled up. We're focusing on it so that we have clarity about what's holding us back so that we can break through it faster and easier, because that is how we get to our goals. Thank you for joining me tonight for Training Tuesday, and I look forward to having a Dirty Girl mini dig chat with all of you. Have a great night.